So it says Jackie's mother is 28 years old, which is 8 less than 4 times Jackie's age. Write an equation to find Jackie's age. And I'm very, very confident we can figure that out. But I want to make sure we can do it with an equation. All right? So I want to highlight a word for you. This word is a word that we would probably just gloss right over otherwise. But within the context of this problem, it has a lot of meaning to it. Because it's saying Jackie's mother is 28 years old. When I highlight that word is, what does that typically signify within the context of an equation? Do you think? What part of the equation does that sometimes represent or oftentimes represent? Zoe? The equal sign, right. So when you're reading this equation, or sentence here, it's saying Jackie's mother is 28, which is, meaning Jackie's mother's age is or equals, then it's going to talk about this other expression here, which I will highlight right there. Now, we've been writing these expressions for quite some time. 8 less than 4 times Jackie's age. But we have an issue here because we don't know Jackie's age. So how do we handle it? Leah? So you want to use 4x minus 8 right here? All right, now can you tell me what x represents, Leah? Yes. So this is a big part of what I need from you guys in this section, and going forward too, anytime you write an equation. Do you guys remember what this is called over here? When you tell me what the variable represents? Sarah? Defining the variable, right? You define what the variable represents. I need that from you just to be thorough. So Leah's telling us that x represents Jackie's age. Here's her expression, 4x minus 8 equals 28. Looks good. The solving part should be secondary at this point. I think we're very comfortable solving these 2 steps. So why don't you, if you haven't done it already, take a minute, work this out, figure out what Jackie's age is. You want a table? Draw a table. You want an algebraic? Then just show all that steps. So I'm going to do these algebraic today. All right, so what do we find Jackie's age to be? Quinn? 9. Anybody else get 9? Well, I'm going to test it. 4 times 9, 36. 36 minus 8 is 28. I like Quinn's value. So what did you do, Quinn? How do you take this equation apart and solve it? So you're adding 8 to this. Inverse operations, very good. Balance the equation, okay? 36, 4x. Inverse of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4, and that ultimately leads to x being 9 years old for Jackie. All right? Why don't you guys try the second one then? Try it and check with each other first, and then we'll discuss together as a group. So the problem states that Mrs. Page is going to earn $200 a week regardless, but then she's going to get $25 for each pair of shoes that she sells, which sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Does anybody know what that's called? When you get paid money in addition to your current salary for performing maybe above and beyond. It's to entice the salesperson. A bonus, yeah. There's a word starts with a C. Getting paid commission. Have you ever heard that phrase before? A lot of times they'll do it as a percentage, okay? And it'll say, okay, you're going to make this much money at your job, but then you're going to get paid like maybe 5% of the total amount of sales that you have this month or whatever, okay? That's the way it's kind of worded. That's why when you go into certain stores, you're going to encounter some salespeople that are very eager to sell you things, right? And sometimes annoying, I know, for you. You just want to walk in, you just want to be left alone, and you get people saying, can I help you with this? You want to try something on? You want this? What about this? Let me show you something over here. They're not doing, well, I was going to say they're not doing that just because they're nice. Maybe they're fantastic people, all right? But I would sense that their primary motivation behind this would be because they're going to make commission. They make money when you buy things. So that's always enticing, like car salesmen. Okay, I know you guys aren't buying cars yet, but you've probably heard of the stories about car salesmen that are pushy and they try to get you to buy things because they make a big portion of the sales back. Okay, so here we go. We've got Mrs. Page. She's getting $200 a week. She's getting enticed to sell, so she can get $25 for every pair she sells. How many pairs is she going to need to sell to earn $1,000? We need a variable. So define your variable for us so we can get started with this. And you get us started with a variable. Brady? Define what is your variable, what's it represent? Okay, so I'll just say shoes sold, and that would be in terms of pairs. Okay, what's your variable though? What letter? Seems appropriate here, right? S for shoes sold. Now you don't have to have an S, have whatever you'd like. All right, so let's try to take this thing apart and write it into an equation. You might want to give us your equation. Mikey? I'm going to use the S that we have there, but we have this. Do you guys agree with that? Why is the 200 not getting multiplied by S? Can we clarify that? Because I do see that mistake sometimes. Sarah? Yeah, 25 is the recurring fee for every pair of shoes. $200 is just for showing up to work. All right, she can come to work, not sell a pair of shoes. She's going to get $200. Although I can't imagine her bosses would be very happy if she's not selling anything. But otherwise, that's the deal. It's just $200 every week, no matter, and then $25 for every pair of shoes she sells. Okay? Isaac? Go ahead. What do you got? Taking away the 200. Okay. Do you guys agree with 32? Yeah. 32 times 25 would be 800 because it's like 4 groups equal 100. I have 8 groups of 4, so that's 800. Plus your 200 gives you 1,000. So she's going to need to sell 32 pair of shoes every week in order to make that goal she has set to be $1,000. Now, depending on how often she works that week, I would say that's pretty attainable, 32 pairs of shoes. I'm sure they could do that. All right. This last one that I want you to try. This was, read it very carefully. I'm going to let you read it and try to digest it, but it's saying a little bit more maybe than what you first see when you glance at it. That'll be my warning to you. So read it a couple of times, see if you know what it's saying. Try to solve it. Let's check with a partner, and then we're going to discuss. When we go over it, you mean? Okay. What's the tricky part? All right. Sounds like we're discussing and hopefully agreeing. I'm going to put a number up here and see. Did anybody come up with that right there? That is not the answer that I wanted. Anybody get this answer? This is not the, no, this one's right, yeah. That is the correct answer. So, I told you before when as an intro to this that it is oftentimes confusing. Those of you that got this answer here, what you did, the way you interpreted it, you would have solved it correctly and everything, but it's just something slight. Now, what does the variable, what is the, well, no, I just don't want to write an X. Yeah, they told us. It's D. So D equals dollars saved, and I'm going to be clear here, last month, okay? So, people with the 3325, can anybody clarify what your equation was? Go ahead, Amelia. Those of you that got 4433 probably had 3D plus 8, right? Okay. Now, Amelia is going to explain to us why it's 4D and not this, let me highlight, this 3D plus 8. Amelia? Yeah, so by saying she saved a total of 141, and since they referenced last month, they referenced this month with saying total, they wanted you to kind of read between the lines that you were supposed to add the 2 months together. But how do I get 4D, Amelia? What was it before this if I simplify? So what? So it's D plus, yeah, then these combine to give you 40, right? So last month is D, this month is 3D plus 8. Combine your like terms, you're here, and now tell us how that comes out to be 3325. What are your 2 steps? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and that's what you're going to get, your 3325. So really counting their pennies, saving quarters even, right? So 3325 was last month plus this month gives you your total, all right? I could follow this up and say, well, then how much did she save this month? And you could calculate all that. I don't need that. But that was the hurdle that could trip some of us up, and that's why I just wanted to point that out. So now what we're going to